Picture of everybody being connected, and the doctor working for accountable care organizations which are responsible to the government. They're going to be tied to it by their reimbursement, their pay. By the way, there's also potentially criminal liability in some of this decision-making outside of the allowable decision-making process. If the federal government is doing this to decrease the cost curve for the federal government, how is it not a conflict of interest for them to be deciding what care is best for you personally? How do we know that what comes out of the Comparative Effectiveness Research Council, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, how do we know that these recommendations, which are supposedly for our own well-being, are not really about just decreasing how much we spend on our own care? And then the question I would ask you is, are we still a free people? If I can't go to my doctor, state my case, and I'll give him one last quick story, and then I'll be done.
20 minutes.
Oh, I have 20? Okay, I thought I was done. I'll just give you a personal story. My 4-year-old and I get along great. He is absolutely me. He's been tossed out of 4 daycares. It's that disagree with authority thing that causes him problems at this age. I think he'll be a great adult someday. He has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is one of those few illnesses that results in young athletes sliding to a stop dead on the basketball court. Now, we know he's got this disorder. We were lucky to find it at an early age. He's got a great cardiologist. He gets checked every year. He gets Holter monitors to make sure he doesn't have any of these dangerous arrhythmias. And he absolutely has no idea that he's got this disorder. He is an active, happy, excited kid. Someday, to make sure that he doesn't slide to a stop dead someplace, or, by the way, most of these sudden deaths occur watching TV, he might need an implantable defibrillator. 2 years ago, if I had found out that he needed an implantable defibrillator, he'd have got it. I don't care whether the insurance company agreed with it or didn't agree with it. I don't care if it was approved or disapproved. I don't care if it was considered experimental or not experimental. If we had to sell the house, we would have done it. There was nobody who knew it was going to happen. If I sat down with Ira Dubrow, the cardiologist at Lutheran General Children's Hospital, we sat down in a room together and said he needs an implantable defibrillator right now. There's no science that says that's the right thing to do, but me as dad, a pediatrician, his mom, a teacher, cardiologist, think he needs it right now. Even if everybody said it was the wrong thing to do, he would get it because we thought it was important. By the way, nobody would have known. They used paper charts, right? So we would write it down. We would contact the cardiologist and arrange for a schedule. We'd put our credit card down, maybe 4. And within a couple of days, those leads would be in and he'd have an implantable defibrillator. They're targeting specifically implantable defibrillators as one of the expensive procedures that needs to be controlled. How about now, today, with the Accountable Care Organization of Lutheran kicking in here in the next few months? Does he get it now? And who decides? I don't think it's me. I think somebody else is making that choice. I'll give you one more personal contrast. A few years ago, when my wife was pregnant with Lev, she was out walking the dog, and he decided he liked the dog across the street. She didn't let go of the leash and caught a telephone pole across her humerus. I counted 12 pieces on that x-ray. So we took her to Matt Jimenez, who's one of the great trauma orthopedic surgeons in the country. And he saw her, walks in the room, says, "Bad break, needs to be fixed. What are you doing tomorrow morning?" I said, "Well, maybe we should get a second visit." "No." Tomorrow morning, the next morning, she was operated on. By the time she was 7 months pregnant, by the time Lev was born, she was back to normal. Carry him around, feed him, everything she needed to do. Somewhere in this little pile, I have an article about somebody with a very similar injury, a farmer. Riding his combine, hit a rock, rolled, caught something on that combine right across the exact same spot, ended up with the exact same injury. Needed the exact same procedure, which is a plate. Except he lives up in Canada. This article was written 14 months later. He had yet to be operated on because there wasn't operating space. and it hadn't been approved, and the plate was expensive. By the way, the plate cost more than the surgeon bill did for us. And his arm was an S-curve, which my wife's was before she got it fixed. Constant pain, unable to work, with no hope in sight. Why? Because the only way you control costs, when people aren't controlling their own costs through the monetary things that Congressman Roskin talked about, the government has to control it for you. That's where we're headed. Those are the decisions that can be made. No matter how much money he put on the table, he wasn't going to get fixed. No matter what agreement he made with the doctor. By the way, in this country, you show up to an emergency room with that injury, and you have no money to pay and no insurance, I can guarantee you you're getting fixed. I know these guys. None of us are getting fixed when this thing's